Welcome back. Do you notice anything different? Anything? Anything at all? You're right, I did get my nails done. JK, I got you. Yes, I did dye my hair. It started off as low lights. Then we did the low lights, and then we were like, let's do a full glaze. Now I'm a brunette. Hello, welcome back. I'm so excited to see you here. Today we're just gonna do a typical catch up because I realized that I haven't updated you guys. The last book I fully reviewed was Lessons in Chemistry, and I was reading The Secret Book of Flora Lee. Now, let me just say before we start, Lessons in Chemistry has a TV show out now, or it's about to come out. I think it's already out. I saw a billboard for it with Brie Larson as Elizabeth. I loved that book, and I cannot wait for the show to come out. I actually do believe that this book translates very well into production and film, because sometimes whenever a book is written, it almost feels like it's written as a script in a sense, and like I can see it so visually. Sometimes it doesn't translate as well. I'm very excited to watch the show and to kind of like relive the same excitement, love, and joy that I felt while reading the book. I loved reading it so much. I would definitely reread it. Last time we left off, Lessons in Chemistry, I was reading Flora Lee. So the thing about The Secret Book of Flora Lee, it was a book that I read the summary, I really enjoyed the summary, started reading the book, couldn't get into it. Would I pick it up again? Maybe. Not right now. I read like a good bit into it because I was trying to like push through, let me get to the good part, couldn't find it, and I wasn't getting there. So then I did one of the best decisions I've ever made reading wise, and I started the Throne of Glass series! This series, it has me in a chokehold right now. Like, I'm reading out all of them in order. I know some people that don't, and I don't think you have to, but I am, and I am very happy I did. I am so happy I started with Assassin's Blade. It gives you so much context. Selena gives her a full backstory before you get into Throne of Glass. It's just, this series is so well done! So I read these books kind of separated, but I'm going to talk about them all together because I think that makes the most sense. And I just read Air of Fire, like literally just read Air of Fire. I love this series! I have to finish it first to see if I like it more than A Court of Thorns and Roses. I definitely am feeling more involved. I feel like there's constantly something happening, there's stuff going on. I liked for Air of Fire, they did a little switch up with the writing, and like they are going from various different point of views rather than just Selena's. But the witches' names are so funny to me, like Baba Yellowlegs is so funny to me. The Blue Beaks or Black Beaks or whatever the Iron Teeth Claws. They say that they're beautiful, but then you say Iron Teeth and I'm like, that's terrifying. This book, honestly, Assassin's Blade set the tone for the rest of the books because you're already getting a sense of anger, like righteous anger, and not even pity. You don't pity. Like, of course you feel bad, but like you don't really pity them. Like you want revenge for Selena. You're curious the entire time. There's like a tone of like sinister, like something bigger is happening. Like you learn so much about them, and it really just gets you going for the rest of the books. So far, obviously, I've only read 4. There's 8, I believe, or 7. Okay, I saw 7, but I think it's 8. There's 8. Why did it say 7? Okay, so for the first 3, I did read back to back with Assassin's Blade, Throne of Glass, and Crown of Midnight, so I kind of just like fully jumped into that. With Throne of Glass, a little love triangle action really got me. Because I'm a whore for enemies to lovers. I eat that up, and I don't know why. I love enemies to lovers so much, and I'm like in the healthiest, like most abundant, like loving long-term relationship, and I'm like, yes, hate each other, and then love each other. But this, like the double crossing the storyline, I thought this was really like a fun way to like jump from like literally this to this. It was crazy. Like it was just unique. And it was different, and I liked it a lot. Anyway, so like the double crossing, there's a bunch of plot twists. There's a bunch of things that kind of like popped out at you and that you didn't really know were coming. And I was like, ah! Which I always love whenever a book does that. I do remember like these last few pages for this book because this is whenever it gets juicy. We're getting juicy with this one. My jaw was on the floor. No sound was coming out. I was just like, there's so much action. Like, it's just, like, never really boring. Whereas in, like, ACOTAR, like, there's so much world building that sometimes you're just, like, kind of fluffing along, or at least from what I remember. I think I'm starting to grow to love it more than ACOTAR, ? Which I had no idea was possible. I said still love Rysand so much, though. I love Rysand. But you know who else I love? Rowan. I cannot wait to see what happens with Rowan. Throne of Glass and Crown of Midnight, obviously I didn't have a lot to say. I had a lot to say about this one. First, we're going to talk about the character development. The character development in this book was fantastic. Chael and Adeline's character development specifically. Because for Chael, I have a theory. Spoiler warning, I guess. I am kind of assuming that Chael may become like the healthier version of Tamlin. Like, Chael is going to need to make some decisions whether he was accepting the truth about who Aelin and Dorian truly are, and if he can side with them and fight for them and just live up to his like name and kind of serve his kingdom and serve his friends and like rebuild that connection. I don't know if I see a future for Chael and Aelin anymore because she isn't Selena. He was in love with Selena. The character development of him just like fully just like ignorance and denial and just like acting without really thinking. Subconscious is like leading him to do the right thing, which is protect Dorian, helping Aedion, but like he says he's doing it for Dorian, but like actually like what are you really doing it for, Chael? You know that what's going on isn't right. This is not chill. And with Aelin facing literally all of her childhood trauma, getting hunted and becoming assassin at 8 years old, and like facing the truth about who Erebin is and who she really is, and just like accepting it and moving past it and like becoming a queen. Like literally becoming a queen. Like literally save your people. Don't just do this for Nehemia. Do this for her and everyone else. She just came such a far way, and literally her and Rowan's relationship, he was a hard mother in the beginning. He was crazy. He was a little prick. But then quite literally took a blood oath for her. Blood oath in front of Maeve. Real? That was crazy. He cares. And I like how they're not rushing, because I don't know what's going to happen with them. They may just be friends, because right now, that's just what they are in this book. Friends. Then Manon character development. Because what I think, also another theory for the witches, I think the witches actually do have their hearts, but they're being literally brainwashed. They're literally being brainwashed and they're being lied to. Because Manon, I think she's starting to have these twitches of just like morality, of like feeling in her heart, and she's like, what's going on? And also, what's her name? Petra? I see the way that they look at each other. You interlinked? I love spotting little love, like little love things. I don't know. I would love some WLW action in this series at any point. I want to find some more lesbian fantasy series. Anyone? I shall wait. I have to find. If you know any, the comments. Also, along with like the different story, like the different POVs, the thing about why I like it so much is because you'll be going down one road, and then you'll be going down this other road, and then this other road, and then at one point this road connects to this road, and then like a few chapters on, the middle road connects back. It's not like crazy complex, but like you have to like remember and like sit back, and it kind of just like, you're not mindlessly reading, you're keeping track, you're taking notes in your head, you're forming theories, like you're still kind of thinking, but it's like fun stuff to think about, so it's just like very enjoyable. It's kind of like a game, like a puzzle. It's fun. Like I love that. Like I love whenever I can do that with a book, because sometimes I'll read something and it's going in one ear out the other, like I am just obsessed with this series. After I had read those first three, let's take a little break. Now we're gonna get into some of the other books. The next book that I read after Crown of Midnight was The Secret History by Donna Tartt. This is like, I think, a classic, I would say. I had a lot of thoughts about this book. I honestly thought about rereading it because like I wasn't like fully getting it. It was a really crazy book. I especially thought it was gonna be like, for some reason, like almost fantasy-esque. I don't know why. Maybe it's the cover. Maybe I thought it was like gonna be something with magic. Let me just tell you it's not. To start with my immediate thoughts, what the in the beginning, it was like so focused on these characters, and I thought it was such an interesting take because it's like, oh, like there's so many directions that you could go with. Who told them that they should go in the middle of the woods? Spoiler alert for this book because I am gonna say some things that took me off guard. I wish I knew more about what they were trying to achieve with the spiritual shit in the woods. Like, I guess enlightenment? I can't remember. I want to, like, dissect this book with, I want to annotate it because, like, even now, like, things don't make sense. So you decided to go into the woods, leave out Richard because this guy, we don't know him that well, right? Understood. Because if I were planning on killing someone, I wouldn't want someone I just met to come with me. They make it sound like murder is the most justified thing. I think it's so interesting because you're seeing everything through the eyes of Richard, who is oblivious to so much. And you don't realize how oblivious you are until, like, the last 150 to 200 pages. Like, he's just moving day to day. Like, he's, like, suspicious, but he's not. He's just living his life. He's a student who's, like, literally at his last resort school. Like, he literally can't go anywhere else. Hampton University. And he's navigating the challenges of, like, figuring out who he is. He likes this girl. There's this woman named Judy. He's putting all of his time into this Greek class. What the are you gonna do with Greek? Then things start to get a little bit weird. Like, people are acting weird. Like, Charles is drinking a ton. Bunny's annoying as hell, by the way. Hate Bunny. And that's another thing. They make you hate the character who literally gets murdered. Don't even get me started on the twin cest that happens in this book. What's up with that? Like, why? Whenever Charles planted a smooch on Camilla, the blood left my body. I was like, ooh, no. Henry, who starts off as this hero, like this brooding man who's so smart, takes the lead on everything, is kind of like this protagonist, becomes the antagonist immediately. One is the reason why I think all of this is happening. I kind of am blaming all of it on him. Not all of it. Obviously, everyone was accountable for killing a random farmer man and then killing Bunny. I don't know what the experiment was. I truly don't understand. I have so many questions about that. I also have a question as to the way that this was written. It felt like it was like a diary entry almost. Who are you writing to? Is this your confession? Is this just a journal? Are you writing it on your deathbed? What's the purpose of you writing this? I definitely loved reading it, but it just definitely mind me a little bit because, like, what did you do? Like, she was doing things to my brain without me knowing it, and it was kind of crazy. But the writing is beautiful. The metaphors, the similes, it all was really great. I want to reread it so I can understand a little bit more. I think I let some of it just roll off my brain a little bit. That was wild. And so after I read that, I've been wanting to read this book. I did a full video on this book. Haunting Adeline! The first one was a crazy ride because if you remember from our previous video, because I was terrified, it's my first dark romance read, and the trigger warnings are out of this world, and I was terrified, so I thought, let me film it. The first book was written really well in, like, the regard of just sensitivity to what the those trigger warnings were, because what? Then I read it and I was like, okay, it's not that bad. It is a little gory. Intimate scenes are just crazy, but the way she wrote it was very sensitive. It was very well thought out. There was a plot. There was a story outside of just intimacy, and I liked that. And I liked the way that she set up the character Adeline. Like, Adeline is a horror lover. She's an author. She loves anything dark. She loves being scared for fun and for pleasure. The Stalky Z, he is a crime fighting, pedophile killing, sex trafficker ending. He is, like, has this organization that, like, basically takes down sex trafficking rings. It's definitely not for the faint of heart. It's not the worst possible thing that I thought it was going to be from this trigger warning. So now I'm reading Hunting Adeline. This one is darker. It's just like, you know, when you read a book and something like messed up is happening, they don't like have to write it down. Smells, characteristics, like stuff like that. Like, you don't need to write it down. You can just kind of like imply that it's there. No, she wrote it down. I think that the writing in this book so far isn't as thoughtful. It kind of feels like it was like quickly written almost. I realize that I do read and I love fantasy, but I have only read 2 authors. So I decided that I was gonna start and read Fourth Wing because I've heard so much hype around it. Rebecca Yarros. And guess who was on the cover? Tracy Wolf. And I was like, you guys know each other. Let's go. I annotated this book. I really loved this book. I think it's a 4-book series. I didn't know that when I read it. Whenever I read this, I was like, oh my goodness. Like, the pacing of this book is so great. Like, it's super quick. You're just moving through this book. You're moving through the actions. You're going through it. I don't know how that's gonna play out for 4 books. I was squealing and kicking my feet because Zayden and Violet's chemistry was crazy. It's true. I adore it. The last few chapters really threw me for the loop. It's like it did a complete 180. Like, right when things were like starting to get good between them, just hit the fan. I was left confused. I didn't see it coming, which I love whenever a book does that. I think it's gonna be very interesting development for Violet to figure out the truth, because what I'm seeing is I think that she's gonna find out that what she's always believed in and what she grew up believing in her whole life and her mother and what her sister and what they're all fighting for is actually the wrong side. You're in a constant state of awe and like suspense, desire. You're squealing, you're kicking your feet, you're wondering what's happening next. What is Violet gonna do? What's going on with Zayden? Why is he so sexy? Oh, I did write this. I literally said it in my annotations on page 286. What if his dad didn't kill Brennan and was actually the good guy, and Zayden and all the kids are actually on the good side, and Violet's whole life is a lie. I love the concept of the dragons. I love this book. I think everyone should read it. Obviously, ACOTAR, Throne of Glass, the Sarah J. Maas series are very long, so I think if you just wanted to start off with something, like Fourth Wing would be a really good vibe. I need to explore more. I need to explore other authors, because I do love her. I'm gonna finish Throne of Glass, though, because I have to. And then, this book right here, Lapvona. This was crazy. I read this so fast because my brain was like constantly, what the f? So basically this book follows a shepherd's son named Merrick who's extremely disfigured. It's set in a medieval town called Lapvona, and it centers around how he's put into a power struggle where he has to choose between it, like where his morality lies. Like, there's no clear meaning for what the purpose of this book was. You have an array of characters who all suck, might I add. They're all insane in their own interesting ways. You have Merrick, the disfigured son of a shepherd who thinks that self-mutilation and self-harm brings him closer to God. He hates, his name's Jude, sorry, I forgot, his name's Jude, hates his son and literally is a pedophile. Merrick's mother, Agatha, was a bandit, violated by her brother, and then had her tongue cut out. Then she's running, trying to escape, gets abducted, is carrying Merrick, tries to get rid of Merrick with the witch. I just think that like all of the characters ended up just being, I think that was the point. And something that they all had in common was God. The way that they used God, talked about God wanting to get to heaven, and just like manipulated the entire town. Like Merrick manipulating himself, and like he used God to justify his terrible actions, like literally murder. Merrick specifically wanted everyone to feel sorry for him. He wanted God to feel sorry for him to let him into heaven. So he begged for bad things to happen for him. He actually wanted bad things to happen to him. He wanted to hurt himself. He wanted Jude to hurt him. He wanted to accidentally murder the king's son. He ends up becoming the king's son because he literally murdered his son, and the king is terrible, so he takes him in as a son as a replacement. The grape scene, when I read that part, if you know, you know. It's just interesting to think about, like, people were very different back then, and like when they're left to their own devices and to their God, how they use religion against other people. The literal priest, he wasn't even a real priest, didn't even know the Bible, preached all this crazy stuff to use as control against the town, and literally like set them up for bandits to come in and like destroy the town, kill their children. It was a pawn for him and for the priest. It was how he could fulfill the selfish desire to be admired. I have power and survive. Of course, at the end, he went a little crazy. He did go a little crazy because of God. Merrick only ever wanted pity and had a terrible Oedipus complex. Oh my God, can we talk about how him and Freud would literally just want to make out? Like, a lamb's teat? What was up with Ina and her teats? What's up with all the teats? random teats. All Merrick wanted was a nipple. Everything was disturbing. Anything Merrick ever did was disturbing. His thoughts were disturbing. Everyone else was disturbing. Another thing that happened with the storytelling, it was like it would go from different perspectives. It was so interesting, like how they would interconnect, and like you would see how each of them interpreted the same situation and how they each went about it in their own way, even though what they were seeing wasn't the actual truth. It was really interesting. Ina did not give up. Out of all of them, I respect her the most. As crazy as she was. Homegirl was psychic. I quite literally understand I just went all over the place with this book, but that's because there's so many directions to go. Otessa really killed it. This was my first Otessa book, by the way. I'm definitely going to be reading more. I want to read My Year of Rest and Relaxation. This was just a really crazy read. Very disturbing. If you want to be a little bit more complex, think a little bit, interpret, I guess I would suggest this book. The final book that I read was The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. Oh, I cried for like an hour. I'm gonna guesstimate it was an hour. It was a very long time and I was really sad. This is a #1 international bestseller. Yeah, it is. This book is so important. People in school should read it. I think anyone, if you're anyone, should read it. This book is important. It's a 10 out of 10. It's a perfect read, perfectly written, so well done. Pacing, character development, all around, tone, undertones. What else? Sorry, I'm getting out of myself. Anything that has to do with sisters, like I'm gonna take it so personally to heart just because like me and my sister are so close. And I literally would do anything for my sister. If she left my life in any shape, way, or form, like I would be devastated. If there's troubles with us, like I love her so much. So anytime that there's anything with sisters, I get very emotional. Same way that I get with, honestly, anything with family, I'm just emotional in different ways. It's about two sisters. One's a part of the French Resistance. One is helping orphaned Jewish children, protecting them and like helping them reunite them with their families after the war has ended. So she basically found a story about a woman who is helping, like who created a road through the mountains to help fighter pilots, airmen escape. There's definitely dramatization to this book, but a lot of it is based on real stories, and just it is really like crazy to read. I just think it's important to like remember, and sometimes you forget, especially when there's so much happening in the world and there's so much happening in general in however you live your own life, and then the general public, and then the entire universe. That sounds so stupid, but she did a really great job of writing this. It's devastating, it's sad, and it's beautiful, and it's a lot of things. I truly I'm at a loss of words for this book. There's like no dissection. It's just plain, just truth, just served to you on a silver platter. It was really crazy, and the characters were really wonderful. And like you're wondering the entire time like who the old woman is, and I was like going back and forth on whether it was Vienna or Isabel. And when you see Gate, oh my god, I can't. I could cry again thinking about this book. Like it was really emotional. It makes me sad. This was the last book that I read, and it was just heavy. So it was kind of hard to like start another book, and I tried to start a book called A Far Wilder Magic. I do want to read it, not right now. I don't know why, I just wasn't able to connect with it. I'm reading Haunting Adeline. Very different. Also dark, but in a different way. And I'm reading that with Sabrina. I thought that would be nice to like read something with her. Like this book me up. I'm glad I did read it. I've been wanting to read it. It is a perfect book. I think everyone should read it, but it did mess me up a little bit in the sense of just like taking a break from reading. Thank you guys so much for watching. It was so fun to catch up with you all. Thanks for sitting through while I just quite literally dove back into all of these reads. I love talking to you guys. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts on these books, and if you've read them or if you want to read them, if you hated them, if you loved them, if you have recommendations that are kind of similar to these, let me know. And I shall see you guys next time. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification button for the next time that I post. I'll see you guys next time. Bye!